Good day for Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center, where the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers on duty at this hour, working in tandem with their Russian counterparts half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center in the town of Korolyov outside of Moscow, preparing for the undocking and relocation of 3 of the crew members aboard the Soyuz MS-23 spacecraft. Everything is in order for that undocking that is scheduled at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Here in Mission Control in Houston, the Orbit 1 team is led by Flight Director Allison Bollinger, who's on console at this hour. To her right, she is joined by 2 veteran astronauts, Kayla Barron, who flew a Crew Dragon to the International Space Station, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut David St. Jacques, who launched and landed on a Soyuz vehicle, launching in 2018, landing in 2019. Today's activities to relocate the Soyuz from the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station to the Prichal module on the Earth-facing side of the station. That's the multi-hatched node module that is attached to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module. The reason for that relocation today is twofold. One, to open up the Poisk module and its airlock for a series of Russian spacewalks that are about to begin on April 18th, April 25th, and May 4th by Sergey Prokopyev, the Expedition 69 commander, and Dmitri Petelin, his Roscosmos cosmonaut colleague. Those 3 spacewalks again coming up over a 2-week period beginning in just a couple of weeks. It also opens up the Poisk module for the docking in May of the ISS Progress 84 cargo ship that will be launched from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on a 2-orbit rendezvous to reach the international outpost. A few hours ago, the 3 crew members who will ride the Soyuz MS-23 on this short trip around the block from one docking port to another, Prokopyev in the middle of your screen there. He is the Soyuz commander as well as the International Space Station commander. He is strapped into the descent module in the center seat of the centermost section of the 3-section Soyuz vehicle. To his left, on the right of your screen, is Roscosmos cosmonaut Dmitri Petelin, serving as board engineer number 1 today. And to Prokopiev's right, on the left side of your screen, NASA astronaut Frank Rubio. The crew suited up in their Sokol launch and entry suits a couple of hours ago, conducted leak checks. They are all set for the undocking that will begin with an undocking command that will be sent at 3:43 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time. It will take about 90 seconds for the hooks holding the Soyuz MS-23 to the Poisk module to unhook, basically open up, and then springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another. Physical separation is expected at 3:45 a.m. Central, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. At that point, Prokopyev, flying the Soyuz manually, will back away from the vehicle, basically above the International Space Station to a distance of about 40 to 60 meters. That will take about 9 minutes to complete. The Soyuz will execute a 180-degree rotation, and then Prokopyev will begin his fly-around of the station, moving in front of the international outpost, maintaining a distance all the time of between 40 and 60 meters. Then directly below the station for a short period of station keeping so that the Soyuz can align itself properly with the Prichal module before approval is given for final approach and docking that is scheduled to Prichal at 4:23 a.m. Central Time, 5:23 a.m. Eastern Time. The hooks between the Soyuz and the Prichal module will then close to form a hard mate. There will be leak checks over the course of the next orbit before the crew will open up the hatches between the station and the Soyuz vehicle and make their way inside the International Space Station once again. This Soyuz vehicle that the three crew members will ride on their short 38-minute transit from one docking port to another today was launched back in February on a two-day rendezvous to reach the International Space Station. It is the vehicle replacing the damaged Soyuz MS-22 spacecraft, which was affected by a loss of its cooling capability through what Roscosmos has said the most probable cause of which was a micrometeorite strike back on December 14th. That damaged Soyuz MS-22 vehicle without a crew on board undocked automatically from the International Space Station just 8 days ago on March 28th, actually almost 9 days ago now, and executed an automated deorbit and a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan, where it is undergoing analysis by Russian specialists to determine how it fared during its re-entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. The flight control team here in Houston took a poll of its flight controllers a short time ago. All the positions polled go for undocking. The Russian flight control team in Korolyov outside of Moscow, in charge of this operation that you see in this view from a balcony camera on the right side of your screen, they have been conversing with the cosmonauts and Frank Rubio on board the Soyuz vehicle since they climbed on board and activated the Soyuz systems a couple of hours ago. This kicks off an extremely busy period of activity on board the International Space Station. As mentioned, there are 3 Russian spacewalks that are coming up, April 18th, 25th, and May 4th. Those will be sandwiched around a U.S. spacewalk out of the Quest airlock to retrieve radio antenna equipment that was replaced during a December 2021 spacewalk. That U.S. spacewalk is scheduled on April 28th. In the meantime, the SpaceX 27 Cargo Dragon is scheduled to undock from the Harmony module of the International Space Station on April 15th. Just 6 days later, the Northrop Grumman Cygnus cargo ship is scheduled to be unberthed and released robotically from the International Space Station. So all of this activity laid out over the next several weeks will keep the Expedition 69 crew on board the International Space Station quite busy. Expedition 69, again under the command of Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergey Prokopyev, joined on board the Soyuz today by Dmitri Petelin of Roscosmos and Frank Rubio of NASA, who rode the MS-22 Soyuz to the International Space Station back in September. This is their 197th day in space. They will return to Earth in late September on board the same Soyuz that they're taking today for their relocation from the Poisk module to the Prichal module. The International Space Station is currently flying about 260 statute miles over the southeastern Pacific Ocean, about to cross the coast of Chile, and then begin a southwest to northeasterly track that will carry it across the Atlantic Ocean and the west coast of Africa a short time from now. Aboard the International Space Station, other activities are ongoing. Roscosmos cosmonaut Andrei Fedyaev is in the Russian segment of the station, monitoring the activities involved with the Soyuz spacecraft's relocation this morning, while in the U.S. segment of the International Space Station, NASA astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoberg, along with United Arab Emirates astronaut Sultan Al Nayati, are busy working on stowage activities for both the SpaceX 27 cargo vehicle as well as the Northrop Grumman cargo vehicle that is being loaded with items no longer needed on board the International Space Station. SpaceX 27, the cargo Dragon will bring home scientific experiments and hardware to be refurbished on the ground to be reflown, while the Cygnus vehicle will burn up in the Earth's atmosphere once it is deorbited, following its unberth and robotic release from the International Space Station. The International Space Station is in the correct orientation for the undocking of the Soyuz. Once again, this will be a manual operation where Prokopyev will fly the Soyuz away from the station, basically backing away above the International Space Station on the space-facing side of the complex in the from the Poisk module to a distance of about 40 to 60 meters above the station for a 180-degree rotation maneuver that will orient the Soyuz properly for its fly-around. That fly-around, or fly-over as the case may be, is expected right around the top of the hour at 4 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. The Soyuz, maintaining a distance of between 40 and 60 meters away from the station, will then fly in front of the international outpost along what is called the velocity vector, or the positive V-bar, and then directly below the station, again maintaining that 40 to 60 meter distance away from the station. A period of station keeping will commence at about 4:12 a.m. Central Time before approval is given by the Russian flight control team in Korolyov to begin final approach that should result in a redocking to the Prichal module at 4:23 a.m. Central Time, 5:23 a.m. Eastern Time. There's a view of the Poisk module near the top of your screen. That is the module to which the Soyuz MS-23 is currently docked, and which will undock from the station about 15 and a half minutes from now at 3:45 a.m. Central, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. The Soyuz itself right at the bottom of your screen. Again, the Soyuz, the three-section spacecraft, the forwardmost section is called the orbital module. The center section, where the crew is strapped into their respective seats, is the descent module, with Prokopyev in the center seat, flanked to his left by Dmitri Petelin and to his right by NASA's Frank Rubio. During the course of today's relocation, Russian flight controllers, in conversing with Prokopyev on board Soyuz, will be using the call sign Altai, which is the call sign that Prokopyev has used for this Soyuz vehicle. The hooks from the Poisk side of the docking interface holding the Soyuz in place were opened upon command about an hour or so ago. The Soyuz hooks will be commanded to open less than 12.5 minutes from now, and that will take about 90 seconds, followed by the pushing off of springs on both sides of the docking interface to enable the Soyuz to confirm physical separation and begin its back away from the Poisk module. The International Space Station has now crossed the east coast of Argentina, beginning a swing across the Atlantic Ocean. All of the station systems are operating in normal fashion in support of today's Soyuz relocation. This is not the only vehicle relocation on tap. Over the course of the next few weeks, the Crew 6 Crew Dragon that launched Steve Bowen, Woody Hoberg, Sultan Al-Niyati, and Andrei Fedyaev to the International Space Station back in February will actually conduct a pair of relocations that will enable the various ports on the Harmony module to be opened for the arrival of the Axiom 2 crew, as well as the Boeing Starliner crew flight test coming up later this summer. Just about 9.5 minutes now until the undocking command is issued to open up the Soyuz hooks holding the vehicle in place to the Poisk module. 90 seconds later, springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another, inducing physical separation of the Soyuz at a rate of about 0.12 meters per second.
I adjusted the focus using the knob. Activating transmitter. (11:34:40). A closed receiver, a closed transmitter activation. The prime receiver is in operation.
On board the descent module of the Soyuz vehicle, Prokopyev, Petelin, and Frank Rubio are all set for their short ride from one docking port to another. Their space suits have been leak checked. Everything is in order. The small passageway, the connecting point between the Soyuz and the Poisk module has been depressurized down to vacuum in advance of the physical separation of the Soyuz from the International Space Station.
(11:37) ready to send the command E2. Copy. Please send the command E2 at the specified time. Copy. It's coming up in about 1 minute. Is it ready? Yes. With 30 seconds remaining. 30 seconds.
And now you're seeing a view just as the crew is on board the Soyuz MS-23 on the left side of your screen, that familiar cross-haired engineering camera that will show flight controllers and Korolev all of the engineering data about the separation distance between the Soyuz and the International Space Station, its rate of departure, basically backing away at the correct rate to begin its fly around of the station at a distance of between 40 and 60 meters, a radial fly around of the complex, moving above the International Space Station from the Poisk module, then in front of the station, then below the station, aligning the forward docking probe on the Soyuz MS-23 with the Prichal module attached to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station.
Ready to turn on the headlight. E-cover inhibit is on. Yes, I confirm e-cover inhibit is on. Is OSK indication...
5 minutes away now from the issuance of the command to begin the opening of the hooks holding the Soyuz to the Poisk module, initiating today's relocation of the spacecraft and the 3 crew members on board who will ride home in this vehicle in late September to complete more than a year in space.
Please confirm that OSK is not illuminated on test 7, indicator panel 7. It is not illuminated and inaudible. Copy.
The Poisk module that you see at the top of your screen also is used as an airlock for Russian-based spacewalks, and that is one of the reasons for today's relocation, is to open up the Poisk module for use for the Russian spacewalks that are on tap by Prokopyev and Petelin on April 18th, April 25th, and May 4th. The spacewalks will move a radiator from the Roscosmos module to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module. Then on April 25th to move an experiment airlock from Roscosmos to Naoka, and then on May 4th to deploy that radiator and hook up other hydraulic and fluid and electrical lines as the outfitting of Naoka, which was delayed back in December because of the coolant leak on the Soyuz MS-22, just minutes before Prokopyev and Petelin were to begin one of those spacewalks. Those spacewalks now rescheduled, 3 of them over a 2-week period, to outfit Naoka for future use as both a experiment module and a docking port. The Prichal module is a multi-hatched docking port able to receive multiple vehicles. The Poisk module, again, will be the destination for the next uncrewed Progress resupply craft, the ISS Progress 84, that will launch to the station on May 24th on a 2-orbit rendezvous to dock to Poisk, the same port that Soyuz soon will be departing from.
Altai, you're going to activate SSF document transfer system in about 1 minute. Copy, 1 minute.
Everything in order for undocking, again scheduled at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time, so that Prokopyev, Petelin, and Rubio can begin about a 38-minute fly around to the station and a relocation and a redock to the Prichal module. Coming up on 1 minute until the issuance of the undocking command to begin the opening of the hooks, holding Soyuz to the Poisk module of the International Space Station.
4230, T11 illuminated, T15 not illuminated, gas 17 is illuminated.
The International Space Station now in free drift, basically disabling all thruster activity so as not to perturbate the undocking that is coming up a short time from now.
Please check D2 and S16. Check if they're illuminated or not.
2 minutes away from physical separation, standing by for the issuance of the undocking command.
Not illuminated. D2. Joint power is not illuminated. Please send D17 command at the set time. 11:43:30 is coming up. At 11:43:30, the command was sent. Hooks indication is not illuminated. S13 is not illuminated. It is off. S11 illuminated.
The command now issued for the opening of the hooks, holding the Soyuz to the Poisk module. Physical separation is expected about a minute from now.
Greetings to you, Andrei. Hello. You are on page inaudible. Yes, Andrei. Mechanical connection indication is not illuminated. Standing by.
Standing by for physical separation.
SSVP executed to come on.
Undocking confirmed.
Undock confirmed.
Right on time at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Soyuz MS-23 on its way with Prokopyev, Petelin, and Frank Rubio on board.
Not illuminated. I'm turning off the wide angle. Oh, stand by. All right. Sending the command. Air or DK command is sent. Digital control loop command sent. Fuse power is illuminated. RUD command sent. Copy. The target is within the 4 squares.
You can see the thruster firings on the MS-23 vehicle under the manual flying of Station and Soyuz Commander Sergey Prokopyev.
AGC mode, yes, AGC mode.
Good backaway rate reported by the Russian flight control team.
The range is about 8 meters currently. Copy. GSO 1-2 and GSO indication on indicator panel 7 are illuminated. Copy. AGC operations are in progress. The target is at the center. We are not getting a good video, so please report on your actions. Copy that. Range is around 12 meters. Copy.
Another good view of the Soyuz MS-23 that undocked from the station just about 2.5 minutes ago at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time, beginning to back away above the International Space Station, having departed the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the complex, moving to a distance of between 40 and 60 meters away before it initiates a 180-degree rotation and then its fly around of the complex.
At a hard stop, but please do not rush. The ballistics are not recommended for you to align early with the inaudible. So use the hard stop, and then you would switch and perform the maneuver. Copy that. So I'm starting at the hard stop and then inaudible. Copy, and please do not rush. Make sure that you do the fly around, align, and inaudible should be no more than 0.3. Copy. The current range is around 20 meters.
The Soyuz is currently about 20 meters away from the Poisk module port from which it separated just a few minutes ago. This view is the engineering cross-haired view on the left side of your screen, showing the Poisk docking port as the Soyuz backs away to a distance of some 40 to 60 meters away, where it will execute a 180-degree rotation.
Fly around is in progress. Current range is around 25.
25 meters now, separating Soyuz from the station.
Please confirm if you can see all the indications on the VECA with the monitor clearly.
The Soyuz and the International Space Station flying some 260 miles above the Earth, crossing the west coast of Africa on a southwest to northeasterly trajectory.
Sergey, I'd like to point out that if you're not using the dissipating screen, then you'll have to use the focusing mode. Yes, it has already been done. It's set at infinity. The current range is around 30 meters. 33, around 33.
Soyuz now about 33 meters away, continuing to back away from the station directly above the complex. Data received here indicates that the Prichal module docking port has been powered up in preparation for the arrival and contact and capture of the Soyuz, with the relocation docking of the redocking of the Soyuz to Prichal, the multi-hatched node module that is attached to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module. That redocking scheduled at approximately 4:23 a.m. Central Time, 5:23 a.m. Eastern.
The range is approaching 50 meters. Station keeping is in progress. Copy.
Very smooth back away from the International Space Station under the control of Soyuz commander and station commander Sergey Prokopyev.
Around counterclockwise, starting at the hard stop. Copy and confirm. You're go.
And the Soyuz now beginning its 180-degree roll maneuver. Once this roll maneuver is complete, Prokopyev then will fly the Soyuz in a radial fly-around to a point directly in front of the station and then below the station, maintaining that 40 to 60 meter separation distance.
"90 degrees. Copy. "130 degrees. Switching from the hard stop.
Almost complete with the 180-degree roll maneuver.
approaching 180 degrees. The turnaround is completed.
The roll maneuver now complete. Prokopyev will soon begin to fly the Soyuz from this point directly above the station to a point in front of the station, then below the complex.
We are ready to proceed with inaudible and to increase the lateral rates. Copy. 11:55:45, which docking probe extension command sent. Copy. And
the Soyuz now has received a command to extend its docking probe in advance of its forthcoming redocking to the Prichal module, the multi-hatched node module that is attached to the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module that's on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station.
The angular size of the SM exceeds 3 squares.
Prokopyev, Petelin, and Rubio running about 4 minutes ahead of their predicted timeline for this relocation today. Again, the relocation serving a dual purpose to open up the Poisk module for upcoming Russian spacewalks by Prokopyev and Petelin that will get underway on April 18th, and to clear the Poisk for the arrival of the ISS Progress 84 cargo ship in late May. Once redocked to the Prichal module, the Soyuz MS-23 will remain at that Prichal port until Rubio, Prokopyev, and Petelin depart the station for good, currently scheduled for September 27th. And the fly-around is now underway.
Along the large diameter. The large diameter shows less than 4 squares, and the range is around 60 meters. Copy. Which is extended, and the 13 is illuminated. Copy. The range is around 4 squares or 55 meters. Copy.
The Soyuz docking probe has now been extended as planned. Everything going extremely well, very smoothly. Periodically, you can see thruster firings as Prokopyev manually flies the Soyuz, currently to a point from directly above the station to a point directly in front of the station.
Angular size is 4.5 squares, and the current range is around 50 or 55 meters. Copy. D9 is illuminated at 11:55:09. SM probe is extended and SSVP inaudible. Which docking probe extension cyclogram is executed. Copy.
This Soyuz again was launched on February 24th, uncrewed from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. 2 days later, executing an automated docking to the Poisk module to replace the damaged Soyuz MS-22 spacecraft that undocked from the station without a crew on board on March 28th, landing by parachute on the steppe of Kazakhstan.
Выходим на ось АОСМ.
Aligning with the SM axis.
Выходим ось АОСМ.
SMOT, docking access, passing it by, copy.
The Soyuz now almost directly behind or in front of the International Space Station, essentially looking down the barrel of the docking port of the Zvezda service module as it continues its fly around under the control of Sergey Prokopyev, maintaining a distance of around 55 meters from the station.
Дальность 55.
Current range is 5. We had a quick LS.
Принята дальность в
Copy.
районе 60 метров.
Current range is around 60 meters. Copy.
This view from the engineering camera on the Soyuz vehicle showing an excellent view of the ISS Progress 83 cargo craft that is docked to the aft end of the Zvezda service module. Sergey Prokopyev continuing to fly the Soyuz to a point now directly below the station. And now in the field of view you can see that bulbous module. That is the Prichal module to which Prokopyev will align the Soyuz forward docking probe and move in for final approach and a redocking to the International Space Station.
Copy. Please continue the flight around.
The Soyuz and the International Space Station flying in tandem, moving from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, about to pass the border between southern Russia and western Kazakhstan.
Angular size is 4.5. Copy.
And again, the wide view showing the Soyuz as it slowly but surely approaches its alignment point, some 55 meters away from the Prichal module. That's on the left side of your screen. That is the multi-hatched node module that is attached to the nadir or Earth-facing side of the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module.
Is soon to be completed. Copy. Current range is around 50 meters. And I am continuing to move along the stack, getting ready, inaudible.
The fly around is now complete. The Soyuz precisely aligning itself now with the Prichal module in advance of a short period of station keeping, and then final approach for redocking.
Copy.
And you see the Prichal docking port now in the field of view from the cross-aired engineering camera on the Soyuz MS-23.
I'm aligned with the docking port axis. Copy.
Prokopyev reporting good alignment with the Prichal docking port.
V5 command, please send the command on time. Command sent. Copy. At 12:06.
Prokopyev running about 5 minutes ahead of schedule. No problem with the timing. Everything going very smoothly.
17 illuminated.
Soyuz flying 260 miles over northwestern Kazakhstan.
Illuminated. Copy. Copy. The current range is around 40 meters. And I am continuing the approach to a range of 3 meters to station keeping. And you can continue at the rate of 0.2, 0.3 up to a 20-meter range, and then audible copy. The commands are armed. Continuing to align along the pitch axis. The current range is 33 meters. Copy.
Everything continuing to go very smoothly with the relocation of the Soyuz MS-23 that you see in the field of view. In the center section of the Soyuz, the descent module.
The current range is 25.
Final approach now underway. The Soyuz now just 25 meters away from its final destination, the Prichal module, the node module docking port. Strapped in to the descent module, Sergey Prokopyev in the center seat as Soyuz commander, flanked on his left by Dmitri Petelin, and to his right, NASA's Frank Rubio. This again the vehicle that the three will ride home to Earth on September 27th to wrap up some 371 days in space. After the Soyuz redocks to the Prichal module and the hooks are closed to form a hard mate, there will be about 90 minutes for the crew to conduct leak checks to make sure that we have an airtight seal between the Soyuz and Prichal before the hatches will be open to allow the three crew members back inside the International Space Station.
Sergey, on Baku video monitor, I am seeing inaudible. Please repeat your last. Copy. You're coming in very low. We are seeing a circular target on the Baku video monitor. Oh, do you see? Can you confirm? Yes, the target is on the screen. The crosshair is aligned. The target is at the center, approximately by 0.5 squares lower. Continuing. The range is around another.
Again, the view over Russian ground stations from the Soyuz engineering camera as Prokopyev slowly but surely flies Soyuz in for its redocking to the Prichal module. That's the node module, multiple hatches for multiple vehicles to arrive at the station.
The target is at the center. And the current range is 18 meters. Copy.
Prokopyev confirming 18 meters, now separating Soyuz from Prichal. Soyuz in the International Space Station flying over northern Mongolia. To recap so far, Soyuz undocked from the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the International Space Station at 3:45 a.m. Central, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time, backed away from that docking port to a distance of some 40 meters or so, began a fly-around under the manual control of Roscosmos cosmonaut and Soyuz commander Sergey Prokopyev, completed the fly-around and now is in final approach for a redocking to the Prichal module.
Sergey, please perform station keeping at 3 meters, and the target should be less than 3 squares at that point, and continue with the alignment. Copy. Current range is 15 meters. Copy, 15.
15 meters now separating Soyuz from Prichal.
Current range is 12. The target is in the center. Copy.
Soyuz now flying over southeastern China, moving from northwest to southeast. About to move inside 10 meters from Prichal.
The range is 10 meters. Copy, 10 meters.
Smoothly closing in for its redocking to the space station. You can see the docking probe fully extended from the orbital module, or the uppermost section of the Soyuz spacecraft.
The range is 7 meters. I'm getting ready to perform station keeping.
There will be a very brief period of station keeping. One more check of the precise alignment of that forward docking probe with Prichal. That brief period of station keeping will occur at the 3-meter mark.
The target is aligned with the center. Current range is 5. Copy. Set up the AGC mode. Station keeping is in progress. Copy.
And Prokopyev has put the brakes on for a brief period of station keeping.
With the final approach and docking.
And they now have a final go from Russian flight controllers for final approach.
Impulse.
As the station and Soyuz fly 260 miles over Osaka, Japan.
Standing by.
A great view of the MS-23 spacecraft, now just 2 meters away from contact and capture. Standing by for docking. Contact confirmed. Capture confirmed. Docking occurring at 4:22 a.m. Central Time, 5:22 a.m. Eastern Time.
Congratulations with the successful redocking. Thank you. Please accept our congratulations as well. I'm activating the translational and controller. Copy.
The docking probe now retracting to form a hard mate between Soyuz and Prichal. It was a 37-minute transit from the Poisk module to the Prichal module, a flawless execution by Soyuz commander Sergey Prokopyev, along with his Soyuz crewmates Dmitri Petelin of Roscosmos and Frank Rubio of NASA.
A great job. So my best regards to you guys, and I guess I'll talk to you next time during the progress operations. Good luck with all. Talk to you next time.
Once again, the redocking of Soyuz to the International Space Station's Prichal module occurring at 4:22 a.m. Central Time, 5:22 a.m. Eastern Time, as the International Space Station and Soyuz flew just off the east coast of Japan.
12, inaudible. The time of capture is inaudible. Ready to report on the parameters. Spherical section 1 pressure is 143, and for number 2 is 183. Propellant is 467 kg. Copy. You're going to switch to page 106. So the actions on page 106, I am turning off the wide angle lens. Dmitri, please monitor everything, and I am going to deactivate the agency mode. Close in RPV1 valve.
This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, the Soyuz MS-23 has successfully redocked to the International Space Station after a 37-minute fly-around, undocking from the Poisk module at 3:45 a.m. Central Time, 4:45 a.m. Eastern, redocking at 4:22 a.m. Central, 5:22 a.m. Eastern Time.
Pressure 778, 748.
We are waiting for the hooks to close between Prichal and Soyuz.
Pressure is 848.
The departure from the Poisk module opens up Poisk for a trio of Russian spacewalks set to begin from the Poisk airlock on April 18th that will stretch through May 4th and the arrival in late May of the next Progress resupply craft, the ISS Progress 84, that will dock to the Poisk module.
Sergey, please keep monitoring SS-VP docking and internal transfer mode execution, and report on the command's execution. Yes, standing by. The inaudible is illuminated. Hooks closed is illuminated. Standing by for other indications to illuminate. They have not come on yet. Copy.
F-13 does not illuminate. Hooks are closed.
We have confirmation that the Soyuz hooks have closed, now standing by for the final step here. That would be the closure of the Prichal hooks.
Sergey, do you see S-13 illuminated? No, not yet. The latches are retracted, and this LED is on, but S-13 is not illuminated. Okay, but the gas-17 is illuminated, correct. What about D-15? Still no? Ignat, say it again, please. All right. Send S-13 manually. Copy, manually. (12/29/15) is the time of S-13 issuance. Yes, now the pole is on. Transfer hatch is closed. The LED illuminated. Copy.
Space station flying into an orbital sunset over the Pacific Ocean.
Rod.
Standing by for confirmation of the closure of the Prichal hooks.
Standing by for SS-VP on. So far, it's still illuminated. Copy. Okay. Do you understand correctly that you are standing by for SS-VP? SS-VP is on. We are ready to turn it off. D11 SM rod, is it retracted? LED illuminated? Okay, then you go to turn SS-VP off. SS-VP off and work. I sent the command. The indicator is off. I am ready to give you the data from the 5-minute measurement. Yes, go ahead, give me the parameters. SR pressure 779, delta +1, BO pressure 749, Delta 1 +1, and then instrumentation compartment 849, and also Delta is +1. Copy. Dima, in addition, give me the oxygen partial pressure. PPO2 currently is 183. Copy.
This view of the Russian flight control room at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside Moscow.
Proceed execute in page 107. Copy.
The Soyuz hooks are closed at the Prichal module, waiting for confirmation that the Prichal module hooks have closed. And we are receiving telemetry here in Mission Control indicating that the Prichal module hooks are driving. Should be just a moment or two before we receive confirmation that the Prichal hooks are closed to form a hard mate. The Prichal hooks continue to drive toward their closed position. And Russian flight controllers have now confirmed the closure of the Prichal hooks. So we have a hard mate now between the Soyuz MS-23 and the Prichal module following a flawless undocking and redocking of the Soyuz vehicle with Frank Rubio of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergey Prokopyev and Dmitri Petelin on board. The trio undocked from the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station at 3:45 a.m. Central, 4:45 a.m. Eastern Time. Prokopyev manually flew the Soyuz to a distance of almost 50 meters above the station, then in front of the station, and then below the station, a radial fly-around of the complex before moving in for final approach and redocking that occurred at 4:22 a.m. Central, 5:22 a.m. Eastern Time, a 37-minute fly-around and redocking exercise today. The relocation of the Soyuz vehicle today opens up the Poisk module and its airlock for a trio of Russian spacewalks that will begin on April 18th by Prokopyev and Petelin to outfit the Naoka multipurpose laboratory module with the relocation of a radiator from the Rosviet module to Naoka. Then on the second of the spacewalks, the relocation of an experiment airlock from Rosviet to Naoka, and then the deployment of that radiator and the hookup of other fluid and electrical lines on Naoka on the third of the three spacewalks scheduled for May 4th. Poisk now also is available for the arrival of the ISS Progress 84 cargo ship that is scheduled to launch on May 24th to the international outpost. So with that, we'll wrap up our coverage for today. A flawless undocking and redocking, the relocation of the Soyuz MS-23 now complete with a hard mate of the Soyuz vehicle to the Prichal module on the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station. You can follow all the activities of the Expedition 69 crew on the website at nasa.gov/station. And until we see you again, have a good day. This is Mission Control Houston.